Hey guys, Emily here, and today we are actually doing a couple of book reviews, and I'm so nervous because this is my first time doing a book review on the channel, so I hope you'll like it. The two books that we are going to be reviewing today are Switchback by Danica Stone and Awake in the World by Jason Gurley. So if you want to hang out, find out about these books, see what I thought, then grab your coffee, grab your tea, and let's get cozy. So I love reading. Why would I be nervous to review a book? Because I was nervous about doing it the right way. Is there a right way to review a book? I thought it had to sound a certain way. I looked through all these GoodReads reviews and they're like really well written and they use all of these words that sound really fancy and nice. And my undergrad degree was in English teaching, so I feel like I have some sort of responsibility to be very literary in my reviews, and that's just not the reality. I'm just going to tell you what I liked, and I actually did find the most amazing rating system that links up with the GoodReads 5-star review system from Book Roast. So I'll link her video down below. It was super helpful to give me like an actual strategy for rating books that links up to the star system. In the past, I've just been, well, it kind of feels like a 3 or a 4, you know, just kind of intuitively based, but it feels really good for that logical side of me that loves spreadsheets to have her review system, and it's called the CAWPILE system, CAWPILE, CAWPILE. That's what I'm using for this year, and it's already been so helpful with these two books. So as I break down these books, I'll share my thoughts, I'll tell you what I rated them on the system, and that's the way that I'll move through that. So let's start with, first of all, both of these books came from my And the Story Begins book box. If you want to see that unboxing, you already know what the books are, but you can hang out with me anyways. I'll link that in the description box below as well. And if you want to see what I got in this month's And the Story Begins box, I'll link that in the video too. Let's start in the order that I read them. So the first one that I read was Switchback. The description on the jacket head sounded, on the book jacket, sounded much more like something I might pick out for myself. It's young adult adventure is the genre, and it was signed by the author, which I thought was really cool. The basis of this is that two students go on a backpacking trip, camping trip with their class. They get separated from the class and they get lost in the mountains. Very, very great plot line. It sounded like it was going to be. I ended up giving this book a 3 stars. I did finish it. It was pretty entertaining, pretty interesting, but it was also pretty predictable, and the characters were pretty one-dimensional for me. I didn't feel like they had a lot of depth or I was really invested in them. So for the CAWPILE system, you rate the book based on C is for characters, A is for atmosphere, W is for writing, the writing style, you do like it, P is for plot, I is for intrigue, L is for logic. Was there anything that popped you out of the book that made you be like, this wouldn't happen? And for this, there was a big logic thing that dropped this number way down. And then your overall enjoyment. So for characters, I rated it a 3. I thought it was really nice that they had some LGBTQ plus representation in this book. One of the main characters is aro ace, so aromantic, asexual, which was nice to have that representation, but they didn't really dig much deeper into it than that. I couldn't tell you a lot more about these characters besides kind of like their baseline stats. So I gave it a 3 for characters. For atmosphere, I gave it a 6. I loved being lost in the woods. I thought they did a great job kind of describing the woods and the environment around them and some of the dangers that they were coming across. I loved that. The writing style was pretty enjoyable. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Not the best I've ever read, not the worst I've ever read. Plot, I gave it a 5. It was an interesting concept, but it did end up being pretty predictable as far as what was going to happen. For intrigue, I gave it a 6 because there are definitely points of what's going to happen, where's this going. For logic, I dropped it down to a 4. There was one moment, and I'll try to share this without, I don't think it will be much of a spoiler. They're exhausted. They're on the mountain. They're exhausted. They've been trekking. They're lost. They're just like run down, right? And then they start playing in the snow, like joyfully, effortlessly, just frolicking and playing in the snow and throwing. You are lost in a mountain and you're going to waste all this energy playing snowballs. I'm all for having like a positive attitude and a positive outlook, but I don't necessarily think I'd be playful in throwing snowballs. So that really just kind of made me be like, what is happening here? So logic wise, I gave it a 4. There were some other things that just didn't make sense. That why would the characters go and do these things? So that dropped it down. And then enjoyment, I gave it a 5. It was pretty enjoyable. I finished it, but I could have done without reading it. I mean, the synopsis kind of gave me the gist. Oh, that's a cool story. Yeah, that makes sense. So overall, that broke down to a 4.86, which on the CAWPILE system lands it in a 3. I did appreciate that it was signed by the author, so I thought that was pretty cool. If you like, you know what, I would recommend this to a middle school or a high school student, definitely. I think I was just talking to my friend Laura about this the other day. I think we're reaching an age where sometimes the YA voices just don't resonate with us. It's harder to relate to. But then there are other YA books like this one that even though it's younger characters, you can still kind of relate to what they're going through. If anybody can describe what that difference is to me, I would love to hear it. But some YA books feel young, and then some YA books feel like I can relate more. That's the best way I can describe it. So this one was 3 out of 5 stars, and okay read. And I always want to say, because I also do write, this is never a judgment on the author or the hard work that went into it or their creative potential, or could I even write a book like this that got out into a subscription box and into the world. I mean, if you have a book out there, that is huge to celebrate. So I think that's part of the reason I have trouble rating books too, is because I want to detach it from the author. I think it's amazing, anybody who's out there writing, and these are my personal experiences with the books and how it resonated with me. This may be a 5-star for somebody else. It may be a 1-star for somebody else. It's so subjective. I think that's the right one. That this is just what I'm sharing from, and I'm sure if you're watching a book review, you understand that. So, second book is Awake in the World. This one I really liked. I really liked this one. It was a little slower going in the beginning, but I ended up really loving it, especially towards the end. I was like, wait, what? What's happening now? So in this one, it's 2 characters who meet in high school. It's kind of their journey together. They're kind of like rich kid, poor kid, sort of different sides of the world. Not the physical world, but different life experiences and how they come together. But then there's so much more to it too. Their kind of relationship with their parents comes through, relationship with loss, relationship with future goals. And one of the main characters is a girl who has an affinity for the stars, which is really beautiful to hear her describe the sky and the stars as well. So I ended up really loving this one. I gave it 4 stars. For characters, I gave it a 7. I loved the main characters. I loved the depth that they had. Even the secondary characters had a lot of depth, which was really beautiful. There was LGBTQ representation, which was really nice in one of the main secondary characters. And then for atmosphere, I also gave it a 7, especially some parts I might even bump it up to an 8 because of the description of the stars and kind of the interaction with that, but 7 is really, really good. So I gave it a 7 for atmosphere. Writing style, easy to read, really beautifully written. I gave that a 7. For plot, I gave it an 8, especially towards the end. throws different plot elements in that I would not have predicted or expected at all. So that was really good. Intrigue definitely kept me reading, kept me guessing, wondering what was going on. Logic, I gave an 8 as well. Everything was logical, made sense with the characters. Nothing popped me out of the book like that would never happen or this doesn't make sense for this character. And then enjoyment, I really enjoyed it, so I gave it an 8. That broke down to a 7.57, which translated to 4 stars. So I definitely recommend this. This is YA fiction, contemporary, a little bit of romance, I would say as like a subgenre. So this was really good. I would recommend it if you're looking for just a good read, if you like the stars and kind of that setting too. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so scary to give my thoughts on the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that. I'm super excited to continue these with all of the books that I'm getting in my subscription boxes. I also have 2 books from Facebook friends. Friends have written these books that are on my TBR to be read for February. And I can't wait to get into those too. So I hope that you enjoyed hanging out, and I will see you in another video. Sending you guys lots of love, and have a beautiful night, day, whatever time you're watching this. Have a beautiful something. Oh my goodness. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, so why am I nervous about doing a book review? I love reading.
Your Wi-Fi name or password has changed.
Alexa?
Update your Wi-Fi information. Go to the Alexa app.
Okay. Alexa's going off. Willard's downstairs playing with Tyler, banging on something. Do not mind.